In the mist-shrouded mountains of feudal Japan, where cherry blossoms fell like drops of blood upon ancient stones, lived the samurai. Warriors bound by codes so severe that death was often preferable to dishonor. The way of the warrior, known as bushido, was not merely a philosophy, but a razor's edge upon which these men walked daily, knowing that a single misstep could demand the ultimate sacrifice. The morning sun cast long shadows across the courtyard of the Takahashi clan as young Kenji knelt before his master, Yamamoto-san. The boy's hands trembled slightly as he received his first real katana, its blade gleaming with the promise of both honor and horror. "Remember, Kenji-kun," the old master's voice carried the weight of generations. "This sword is your soul. To draw it without cause is to dishonor your ancestors. To fail in using it when honor demands is to dishonor yourself." What modern minds struggle to comprehend is the absolute nature of samurai honor. Unlike contemporary notions of flexible morality, Bushido demanded perfection in 7 key virtues: rectitude, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, and loyalty. Failure in any of these areas didn't merely result in social embarrassment. It required ritual suicide, seppuku, to restore one's spiritual balance and family reputation. The gruesome reality of this code became apparent during Kenji's first real test. When his lord's daughter was insulted by a rival samurai, tradition demanded immediate response. The insult wasn't physical violence or theft, merely a perceived slight in how the rival samurai had bowed. Yet Bushido was unforgiving. Kenji found himself facing an opponent whose skill far exceeded his own, knowing that retreat would bring shame worse than death upon his family name for 7 generations. The duel began at dawn, as cherry petals drifted down like silent witnesses. Steel sang against steel in the crisp morning air, each clash echoing off the monastery walls where monks prayed for the souls about to depart. Kenji's opponent, a seasoned warrior named Sasaki, fought with the casual efficiency of someone who had performed this dance of death countless times. Blood began to flow, first from small cuts, then from deeper wounds that painted crimson patterns on white hakama. But the true horror of Bushido wasn't in its violence, it was in its absolute inflexibility. When Sasaki's blade found its mark and Kenji fell, mortally wounded, the young samurai's first concern wasn't his pain or approaching death. Instead, he worried whether his performance had been honorable enough, whether his technique had shown proper respect for his training, whether his death would reflect well upon his master and clan. As life ebbed from his body, Kenji performed his final act of honor, composing a death poem, with hands slick with his own blood. The verses spoke not of regret or fear, but of gratitude for having lived according to the way, of cherry blossoms falling in their proper season. This wasn't mere bravado, it was the complete internalization of a code that valued spiritual perfection over physical survival. The forgotten aspects of Bushido revealed themselves in these moments of ultimate testing. Modern interpretations often romanticize the samurai as noble warriors fighting for justice, but the historical reality was far more complex and frequently brutal. Samurai were expected to kill not just enemies in battle, but anyone who showed insufficient respect. Peasants who failed to bow deeply enough, merchants who were perceived as dishonest, even their own family members if honor demanded it. One particularly chilling tradition was the practice of tsujigiri, testing new swords or techniques on random passers-by. Young samurai, drunk on their own power and the intoxication of absolute moral authority, would sometimes prowl the streets at night, cutting down innocent people simply to prove their blade's sharpness or their own skill. This wasn't considered murder, but rather a form of spiritual exercise, a way of maintaining readiness for more honorable combat. The psychological toll of living under such extreme expectations created warriors who were simultaneously capable of profound compassion and shocking cruelty. A samurai might compose exquisite poetry about the transient beauty of morning dew, then moments later execute a servant for spilling tea on his kimono. This wasn't hypocrisy, but rather the logical result of a worldview that prioritized abstract honor over human life. Perhaps most disturbing was the way bushido infected relationships with genuine affection. When Lord Matsudaira discovered that his closest retainer had made a minor tactical error during a recent battle, an error that had cost no lives but had technically violated protocol, he was faced with an impossible choice. Love and loyalty demanded forgiveness, but bushido required punishment. The Lord spent 3 sleepless nights in meditation before announcing his decision. His retainer must commit seppuku, but the Lord would serve as his kaishakunin, the one who delivers the merciful final blow. The ritual took place in the castle's most beautiful garden, surrounded by flowering azaleas that would forever after remind the Lord of his friend's sacrifice. As the retainer's blade found its mark and he fell forward, the Lord's sword flashed in a perfect arc, severing his friend's head with a stroke so clean it was itself a work of art. Both men had acted with perfect honor according to their code, yet the living was left to carry the dead's memory like a stone in his heart. These stories reveal the forgotten truth about bushido, that it was a code created by and for a warrior class that had elevated honor above humanity, duty above love, and death above compromise. The cherry blossoms that feature so prominently in samurai poetry weren't symbols of life's beauty, but reminders of its brevity falling petals that mirrored the brief, brilliant, and ultimately tragic existence of those who lived by the sword. In the end, the way of the warrior demanded everything and forgave nothing, creating men who were simultaneously the most disciplined and most dangerous individuals their society had ever produced.